Good afternoon, and you're very welcome to Kildalton College Equine Virtual Open Day. Over the next 40 minutes or so, we'll be reporting with some of my colleagues live from the equine unit, and then we'll have a panel discussion in which my colleagues will answer any questions that you might have. We look forward to engaging with you over the next 40 minutes or so. You're very welcome back live to our studio here in Kildalton College, which is the largest college in the Teagasc network, with in excess of 1,400 students passing through every year, studying various courses in equine, horticulture and agriculture. This afternoon is of course about equine, so we're going to have live panel discussions interspersed with video. At this stage, just to point out, there's a Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom screen, so I'd encourage you to put in any questions you have now, so we're able to get through them throughout the course of the next 40 minutes. And the panel here today, I have Rosemary Gaffney, who's the coordinator of the equine program, and I have Kate Sullivan, who is an equine lecturer. I'm just maybe going to start with Kate, if you could just introduce yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Kate Sullivan, and I've been a lecturer here for the past 4 years. The first thing I want to say was I don't come from a horsey background. So for anyone thinking of doing the course, you don't necessarily have to be, coming from a family that have horses at home or anything like that. I would have just ridden in a riding school for most of my life when I started off. When I finished school, then I went to UCD and did animal science. And as soon as I finished my degree, I said, okay, I want to do horses full time now. So I did some of my BHS exams in Ireland and then went and did further training in England. I worked in a couple of event yards over there and in a large college as well. And when I came home, then I set up a yard on my own for a couple of years eventing before I started here. So I still have a big passion for eventing, and I do that at weekends and in spare time.
Thank you. Thanks, Kate. And Rosemary?
My name is Rosemary Gaffney, and as you said, I'm the course coordinator here in Kildalton. Unlike Kate, I can't say that I'm only here for 4 years. I've actually been here for 22 years. I'm a BHSI, and I'm also a level 3 dressage coach. Prior to coming here, I was working in the university in Limerick. I have been with horses all my life. I hunted since I was 5. I evented, show jumped, and I'm now a para rider, and I ride dressage. I'm on the Irish Paralympic team, and hopefully next year I'll go to Tokyo.
Excellent. Okay, so we're going to start with a short video clip of the equitation unit in the college, and then we're going to come back to the panel and ask questions. I see there is questions coming in on the Q&A already, so look, keep them coming in and we will answer them during the session.
I'm Kate Sullivan, a lecturer here in Kildalton College. The first course I'm going to talk to you about is a level 5 and 6 course in equitation. This course is very practical and hands-on and aimed at those who want to develop their riding and yard management skills. Students work as part of a team helping to run the large college yard, which has around 50 to 60 horses. They ride every day, receiving training in dressage, show jumping and cross country. In first year, they complete the module Young Horse Training, which incorporates lunging, driving and loose schooling, all of which helps prepare them for breaking horses in second year. Other modules include horse breeding, anatomy and physiology, communications and stable and yard routine. Second year equitation students take responsibility for the management of a yard, supervising students and horses. They break and produce young horses, learning how to prepare them for sales. They also have an opportunity to train and complete their BHS exams and leave as a qualified instructor. As part of their equine business module, they learn how to run events and set up and manage their own yards.
Okay, we're back in studio. I'm just going to start with a question here that's come in the Zoom, and it's probably the question that a lot of people are wondering about. And I'm going to address it to Rosemary because you're the course coordinator, so I'm sending the difficult questions to you. So what plans are in place for starting back in September with social distancing?
I knew this would probably be the first question that would come up. We have every plan to open up back up in September. The course may look a little bit differently. We just don't know at the moment with the COVID how it is and how we'll proceed with that. But we'll be looking and we'll be taking on the Department of Education's all their guidelines. But as far as we're concerned, we're going to open up in September. It'll probably be blended learning, and there'll be some of it online, and then the practicals will be here in Kildalton.
Okay, very good. And I suppose the fact that it is a very practical based course, it does make social distancing much easier than
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have 60 to 70% of our course will be done outside. So wonderful that the COVID can be done and we can keep going outside. And as long as we keep our numbers down, and we'll keep the college going.
Okay, I'm just going to maybe follow on from that video there. It was a great overview of the equitation side of the course. And I mean, it really brings in the question of what riding skills do people need before they actually come to Kildalton for the level 5 horsemanship course.
So what we would expect is that people would be able to walk, trot and canter and jump a small fence before they come in. For interviews, generally, that's what we would ask people to do. So they would ride here maybe for 15 or 20 minutes and we would see, you know, their skill level before they come in. That'll be a little bit different this year. So when you apply online, which Rosemary will be talking about in a little while, we would ask that you will send in a short video clip, just 1 minute long, of your riding skills. But really we have students with loads and loads of different backgrounds. So some would be really experienced. You know, they might have been show jumping, eventing, competing at a high level, have horses at home. And we would have others that, you know, wouldn't have that level of experience at all. They might have just been riding once or twice a week. So we really cater for everybody. And it's amazing, by second year, a lot of the students have kind of given each other a dig out and they learn from each other. So it works really, really well. We have a huge range of horses. So we would have some, you know, top level competition horses here, and then we would have some very quiet cobs. So there's a mix of everything, and really, you know, it's suitable for lots of different standards.
Great, great. So that then in that video clip, that only applies to the horsemanship course and not the stud management course. They don't actually ride, is that right?
Yeah, so the stud management don't ride. So for their interviews, generally what they would do is just show a little bit of their handling skills. So maybe putting a bridle on, leading a horse up, standing it up as if for sale, that kind of thing. So yeah, again, on the stud management side, some people would have a huge range of experience. Some would be coming in with, you know, a lot less than others.
Great, great. And I suppose it kind of leads on to it. Like, what does a typical day for a student, level 5 student, look like in Kildalton? I know, like, it's very different to school, and it's probably very different to other colleges as well.
I think we all know with horses, like, no 2 days are the same, and it's very similar here. They do have quite a strict routine. Every second week they would do specials, which basically means they help to run the yard. So that would start at 7:30, and from 7:30 to 8:30, they're sort of on the yard doing general duties. So in first year, that might mean that they have 2 or 3 horses to look after every day. So they get to know those horses really well. They would muck them out, feed them, check them over. So they would know sort of if there was any lumps or bumps or anything different on that horse from the day before. It sort of gets them used to being able to run a yard and notice any changes in the yard. In second year, then the students would actually start to supervise the first years a little bit. So they help them out and they're kind of a little bit more in charge. So they might be doing checks on the horses or just seeing that the students are managing okay. So it's sort of setting them up for real life when they leave, that they'd be able to run a yard. Okay. From 8:30 to 9, then they would have breakfast, they have a little break, and then at 9 o'clock classes start. Generally 9 o'clock would be practical class, sometimes in the classroom. So they might be riding, lunging, loose schooling. They do a mixture of dressage, show jumping, cross country on the riding course. And that class would last for 2 hours. Then they get a 15-minute break, and then they're back out either on the yard, maybe doing stable management. So they could be clipping, plaiting, you know, learning how to tease, doing confirmation, that kind of stuff. About 40% of the course maybe is theoretical, so they'd be in the classroom for those kind of things. So doing anatomy and physiology, breeding, stable and yard routine. Lunch would be from 1 to 2, and then again they have a 2-hour slot in the afternoon for class, and then 4 to 5 back on the yard, just feeding, skipping out, tidying up the yard, and then they finish at 5. So it can be quite a long day, but really enjoyable and hands-on, and I think the students really like that they're kind of busy and going a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Then they have the evenings off, so they can socialise or do whatever they want, and then they're on rotas just to do a night check, so they might end up doing that maybe once every 3 or 4 weeks at 8 o'clock just to check the horses.
Very good. Yeah, just another question coming in through Zoom. When they're just about the video, when you send in your video, how long will it be before you find out if you have a place?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think the cutoff for applications is the 1st of July. Is that right, Rosemary? Yeah, so it'll be shortly after that. I would say by the middle of July, we should be looking through them and we'll be getting back to people then.
And just another question coming in here in the Zoom, like, do you get to work with horses every day?
Yeah, every day. And I think that's probably the big draw for the course. And I know for me and a lot of people that are interested in horses, like, I don't want to be sat in all day long, and it's the same with the students. So they're riding every day, they're handling the horses every day, you know, they're outside a lot of the time, and you know, they're really learning from doing, which is brilliant because it sets them up sort of for their careers after here.
Yeah, another question coming in there, and it's like, what is the gender balance like on the course?
Yeah, good question. Generally, we tend to have more girls on the equine course, but I think it balances out because on the ag side, there's probably a lot more guys. We would usually take in about 30 equine students and 20 stud students. And depending on the year, I mean, some years there's more guys than others, but in general, there probably is more girls on the equine course.
Okay, and how many students are you taking in first year on the equine course?
So 30 equitation students and then 20 stud students.
Okay.
We generally split the equitation students then when they're riding. So you actually ride in quite small groups, which is great. Maybe a group of 8 or 9 together. Sometimes it could be smaller, even 4 or 5. So it works really well because you get a lot of sort of one-on-one tuition, you know.
Okay, very good, very good. There was a question that came up there about, is there any progression after the level 6 of the course? Is there any third year of the course for students?
We have a third year on the course that we run through with the ETBs, Employment Training Board. We would choose a small amount of students. They compete for to actually get on this course, and they want to take their BHS, which is the British Horse Society exams. We're probably very lucky here in so much as we run the exams here, so the students know the horses, know the setup, and know the thing. We're actually one of the world's leading places to train for the British Horse Society.
Very good, very good. Just another question that's coming in online there. I mean, it's an interesting one. Do you have many international students?
From Mauritius, South Africa, Germany, Sweden, and Holland. And Holland. So yes, we have them. We don't have a tremendous amount of them, but nearly always we'll have some every year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. I think at this stage we're going to go over to the video of the stud management, and we'll come back to the panel discussion after that.
The second course we run in Kildalton is the level 5 and 6 in stud management, which caters mostly for the thoroughbred and breeding industry. We have a wide variety of students from varying backgrounds, some with a lot of experience with thoroughbreds or sport horses, and some with little experience at all. In first year, our aim is to give a rounded education. The stud students study the same modules as the riding students, except they don't ride and they go on work placement 2 days a week in stud farms. In year 2, they study anatomy and physiology, pasture management, advanced breeding, confirmation, equine business, and they complete a 12-week work placement program where thankfully many stay on in full-time employment. The students learn skills such as teasing, caring for the new foal and mother, handling and leading foals, preparing fitness programs for young stock, transporting, feeding, and the day-to-day management of a large number of horses on an equine yard. We try to connect the students to the industry by taking them on educational trips throughout the year. We attend seminars, local stud farms, trainers' yards, sales, and even the races. Past students have gone on to have careers such as breeze-up consigners, stud managers, pin hookers, and foaling managers.
Okay, we're back live in studio here after that stud management clip. We just have a question on Zoom. I just want to ask Rosemary before we get into some stud management questions, and that is, what are the plans in place for accommodation in September? You're getting all the difficult ones.
I was going to say, Tim, you were quite true. You were going to ask me all the difficult ones. Well, due to COVID, we're not 100% sure, but as far as we're concerned, we're going to open up the accommodation in September, and you will be let know in August what this is going to look like. We're not sure of how many we're taking in or anything else, but once we have no more and the guidelines are kept in thing, we'll be fine.
Okay, thanks, Rosemary. Just another question on the Zoom here. If you don't have any horses, you don't have your own horses, how will you be able to send in a video for horsemanship course, or do you have to own horses? That's a good question.
Okay, when it was sent back out to them about sending in the video, there was my telephone number and my name. If you give me a ring, I'll discuss it with you, what you can do.
Yeah, so look, there is
So
a contingency
no
in place.
problem,
There's no need,
yeah.
no requirement to own a horse.
No panic.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a recent, I mean, if you have any videos or,
Old
from the
video.
last couple of years, yeah,
Yeah.
that you could put together, that'd be great. It doesn't have to be sort of from the last couple of weeks or anything. It's just to see a basic level that you have.
Yeah. Very good. Now, so they come in first year, they have the two options. They have the equitation and they have the stud management. So Kate just talked a little bit of the equitation. The stud management is a bit different. So maybe Rosemary, if you talked us through a typical week for a stud management student.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm going to reiterate, the stud students don't ride. So they don't ride at all while they're coming to Kildalton. But they do all other subjects with the equitation students. So they're all kept in very much in close contact. The stud students go out 2 days a week to stud farms. They leave here in buses or in cars at 8 o'clock in the morning, and they go to local stud farms, which are chosen for them. And we do try to get to know the students for a couple of weeks, so we know what their abilities or lack of education is with the stud work. And then we try and marry together the stud students with the correct stud. And we do quite a good job of it. We don't normally have any problems with them. The stud students learn a tremendous amount. It's real. It's a real world. They know exactly what they're doing at the end of their 2 days a week. And they then can make decisions about going forward, what they'd be interested in. Whether they're interested in mares and foals, or they're interested in barren mares, or they're interested in pinhooking, or they're interested in breeze-ups. All of these things they will get a taste of while they're out in work experience.
Yeah, what's pinhooking there, Rosemary? You lost me on that one.
Pinhooking, it actually comes from Kentucky in America. Pinhooking was when the tobacco industry, they bought tobacco very cheaply and they pinhooked it until the actual tobacco got more expensive. So now they pinhook foals, they buy foals, they buy them really from their book, so what their pedigrees are, and they hope that they're both the right foal, and by next year they'll do them for the sales, and by next year hopefully they'll have got the right ones.
Okay. Just another question here that came through is, will I have the green cert after doing this course?
If you do your QQI level 5 and 6, this enables you to have the green cert. The green cert is not green, contrary to popular belief, but it is actually that you're trained as a young trained farmer. If you're trained as a young trained farmer, it gives you the benefits of being able to draw down any grants that are available from Europe. It also means that you don't have to pay stamp duty on transfer of land. And a big draw for it is that you can inherit land and without paying capital gains tax. And when you consider a lot of farms are worth $1 million, $2 million, that's a lot of money.
Okay, so it takes 2 years to get your green cert in,
2 years.
no matter what way you do it. So it's whether you go down the stud route or the equitation route, it's
the same
2-year journey.
Yeah.
There's another question there. Can you switch from equitation to stud?
Okay, you can swap. You can do the first year of equitation, and we've had many students doing that, and then swapping on to the stud farms. Because again, the first year equine students are really trained to produce a horse, to learn how to produce a horse up to the backing stage. And that's what their first year will do. And the first year stud student will not have had as much as, because they've obviously been out for 2 days every week. So it's an easy swap, but you can't swap the other way.
Yes.
So you can't swap from stud to riding, but you can swap from riding to stud.
Very good. Now the questions are coming in now. Is there any way to get to Kildalton from Kenny if you don't drive? Is there buses?
On a day-to-day basis, because we start early in the morning, it isn't I don't think it's possible for you to get from a bus here at 7:30 in the morning. So that's why most of our students live in, particularly the first years, live in-house, and the second years nearly always have houses in the village.
Okay, okay. Another question on Zoom there. Do you specialize in thoroughbreds for stud management course?
Not necessarily, although most of our host yards for the first year are thoroughbreds. In second year, you can go to sport horses or to thoroughbred, whichever you choose.
Okay. Another question there is, if 30 students are taken on the equine course, how many usually apply?
Ooh, that's a difficult one. I think probably the highest number that I probably had was 110 applied for 30 places. But that would have been a very high number at the time.
Yeah. Kate, this is a question through Zoom for you. Is there a work placement as part of the equitation course?
There isn't at the moment. It's something that we are looking into, but their work placement actually happens on the yard here. So we could have maybe 50 horses on the yard at any one time. So the equitation students, their work placement is actually looking after those horses. So it does run very like a commercial yard. You know, the students are in, they're mucking out, they don't just arrive and ride and disappear and somebody else does the work. They actually learn about the running of the yard. So at the moment, their work placement actually happens while they're here. It's something that we are looking into as a possibility for the future, that they may go out in second year, you know, to do some placement outside and then come back to us or have it at the end of the year.
But we do feel that, you know, the riding, the coaching that they get here in Kildalton is second to none. There are very few yards in the country that have 2 full BHSIs and 1 nearly a BHSI. It's unheard of for this level of education. So it's quite difficult for people to go out from here on work experience and get that level of coaching and the amount of coaching that they get here.
I think the other thing is it's very realistic here. So in second year, the students actually get a 3 or 4-year-old unbroken, and they would take it through the breaking process right through from meeting in hand to when they're actually riding it and having it ready for a competition or for a sale. And I don't know anywhere else that you could learn that safely, you know, and under supervision. So 2 students would take 1 horse and they would go through everything, you know, from start to finish with them, which is an amazing opportunity. I wish I'd had that, you know, when I've been younger, someone to actually take you through step by step and say, this is kind of how you do things. Also in second year, there'd be a big emphasis on the coaching side of it. So people can actually leave here as qualified instructors, which is fantastic. So they really are set up, you know, to go into the industry. So work placement is brilliant, but they also learn a lot of it while they are here in college.
Yeah.
And even with the stud students in second year, whilst they don't do the backing, they do the young horses. So we bring in foals for them to prep for sales. And we also bring in maybe 2 or 3-year-olds, and we'll start them off. And so they're ready, and they're ready for the pre-backing. So they learn to drive and to train them on the flat, and all of that work that they will need when they go into stud farms.
Yeah. There's a question there. I don't know who wants to take this one, but do you take many people from Dublin on the course?
We take lots of people from Dublin. We love Dublin people. We have quite a lot of people who come to us from Dublin, and particularly from over in the Cherry Orchard, always send us students here, and we're always happy to have them. And some of those have gone on to do really well, you know, become qualified instructors. And I know now,
students.
And one of our ETB students, Nicole, was here. She's was here for 2 years. She came with me to competitions, both nationally and internationally. So yes, we do definitely take students from Dublin.
Do the students attend the college at weekends?
Yeah, we can do that. So yeah, weekend duties is part of it. Again, we really want students to be set up for real life. And I think if you're involved in horses, it isn't sort of Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. So they generally do a rota, and it would be maybe 1 weekend in 3 that they would do. Now, the weekends aren't really full on, so they would come in and feed, muck out, and then exercise the horses. And then they would have the middle of the day free. So generally, you know, they might go into Waterford, or they might hang around here or do some of their project work. And then they're back between 4 and 5 to kind of feed and just check the horses in the evening. So yes, I suppose it is an important thing to realize that it's sort of part of the course, but it's not, you're not going to be here all day, every day at the weekends either. So.
Very good. More of the questions are coming in now. So I'm interested in being a horse chiropractor. Would Kildalton be suitable to work this route?
It depends on how much experience you already have. If you have a lot of experience with horses, then possibly you don't need Kildalton. But if you need more hands-on experience and you really need to learn about the anatomy and physiology before you start, we would be an excellent place for you to learn.
Yeah, and I suppose the question that always comes up, is it hard to get accommodation on campus?
Yes, is the answer to that one. But you just have to be quick off the mark, and once you're offered your place and you're told which day to ring in for the...
Yeah, so they'll all be notified that accommodation is opening up in sometime around mid-August, and it's a matter of first come, first served after that.
First come, first served after that.
Yeah. When going through application, what makes the applicant stand out from the others?
I think one of the big things, apart from, you know, skill level, which is one part, but is actually your enthusiasm and, you know, a love for horses and what you actually want to do. And that stands out every year when we do the interviews. So one of the things that we would ask is, why do you want to come to Kildalton? And it's amazing some of the answers that you get back. So it might not necessarily be the person that has been jumping on young rider teams and, you know, wants to go to the Olympics. It could be because they have a real passion for it and they really want to do something in the industry. So I think, you know, to be really enthusiastic about it, it doesn't necessarily have to be that you're a world beater, you know, or top of the game.
And we always tell the students, want is a lot more important than talent. So if they want to get better, they will. They'll achieve it. Determination and everydayness is the only road to success, you know. And the only place that winning comes before work is in the dictionary.
Okay. Rosemary, I want to bring you back to the stud management course, and like, what's the difference between first year and second year?
Okay, in first year, as I've said, they 3 days here and 2 days out on work placement. In second year, they will come in and they will do from September to January, and they will do a lot of the academic side of the course. And again, as I said, they'll start prepping young horses for sales and things. Then they will go out for 12 weeks on paid work experience, and they will go to wherever they choose they want to. We have a wide range of host yards, and they can choose which area they would like to go into. I'm smiling because I remember I sent a student out, a chap called David. I sent him out for 12 weeks, and he's still there 14 years later. You know, a lot of our students get jobs and full-time employment through their work experience. And not only do they get jobs over here, some of our stud farms will keep them here and then send them abroad once the season finishes. So quite a lot of them will go to Kentucky, or a lot of them will go to Tasmania and Australia. And so, you know, there's a wide range of jobs out there for them.
And you mentioned work placement there. Like, what do they typically do on those work placements for that 12 weeks you're talking about?
For the 12 weeks, normally they will be sent from yard to yard, which is the best thing. You try and get them either into a very small yards where they'll see the all-roundness of the industry, or you get them into a big yard and they will probably spend 2 weeks in one yard and 2 weeks in another. So they may go to Baron Mare Yard, and then they will know all about the veterinary side of trying to get mares in foal. They'll go into see foals being born into another area, and they will often work up near the stallions so that they will see how they operate. Also, they will help out with preparing horses for sales and getting everything, the yearlings, ready.
Very good, very good. Just keep the questions coming in on Zoom. I have a few more I want to go through, but they're good questions, so it's the place to get them answered. So what is the minimum education requirement to apply?
There is no education requirement for Kildalton to get into the course. I would say that people who have done their Leaving Cert stand a better chance of sticking with it. So it's stickability that you need. But having said that, there are lots of students that I can remember over the years who've had dreadful time in school and hated school and couldn't learn and thought they were stupid. And they came in here and they learned, not only were they not stupid, but they were highly intelligent because they could learn, because it was something they were very interested in. So that's a wonderful way to be able to learn.
Yeah, look, I think it's a totally different learning environment, and it's very different to school. People always comment on that when they come in. Just another question up here. Are there textbooks available throughout the course?
Yeah, so we would give students books when they start. Generally, the Equitation students would get some BHS books, and the stud students would get a stable management book. We also have some notes that we would give out here that are to a really high standard, and there's loads of recommended reading. But honestly, a lot of the time, what we want is to talk things through and do it practically. So we're not going to say you need to go home and study like 10 chapters from this and underline X, Y, and Z in this book. It's not like that. So, you know, for students that do really enjoy reading and researching and that kind of stuff, we definitely can give lots of recommended reading, and all the lecturers do have notes that we would put up online for students to access. But a lot of the time we really encourage sort of interactions in class and small groups and sort of working together and coming up with ideas that way, rather than just sitting down and looking at a book.
Absolutely. There was just a question there from Kira. She missed the first 10 minutes, asking will it be available online afterwards. Yes, it will. It'll be on the Teagasc YouTube channel. So sometime probably later on tomorrow, it will go up there. So anybody else who did miss it, it's just important that it will be available to watch later. Okay. At this stage, I just want to ask Rosemary maybe to talk us through how people apply for this course. I know some people have applied, but there's other people that are interested in knowing how to apply. And I know that we have a screenshot there. Maybe Rosemary, talk us through that.
Okay, it's online. And so you type in www.teagasc.ie, and then you can see on the top right-hand thing, it's online courses, and just touch there. Then you come back down, it'll come up with 3 sets of courses. So it'll be agriculture, horticulture, and equine at the bottom. Go into the equine part of it, and that will show you 4 courses. So level 5 will be horsemanship, and level 5 stud management. It's important to say that the horsemanship course is the riding option. So the horsemanship course is the riding option at level 5, and at the stud management is obviously the stud management.
Yeah. There's a good question coming in here. What age range of students doing the courses? Maybe Kate, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I think the youngest that we had this year was 17. What's the minimum?
You have to be 17 before the 1st of January of the following year that you start in September.
So you can start as a 16-year-old, but you have to be 17 by the 1st of January.
Okay. Well, we would have some mature students as well. We actually had one really valuable mature student in first year this year that I think even some of the lecturers learned some things off. Which is absolutely fantastic. So there's a really wide range of ages. I would say in general, the majority of students are probably around the 18, 19 mark, but I think it's one of those courses that actually it's quite well spread. Like we'd have some students in their 20s that maybe did something else first and then decide they want to kind of follow their passion. And then we would have some that come that haven't finished school, you know, and are younger and say like, you know, I really want to do something different. So there's a big variety of ages, which works really well on the art, I think.
Yeah, no, good. Another question on Zoom here. Are the exams based on continuous assessment, or are they based on a final exam at the end of the year?
Generally continuous assessment with some final exams. We don't have one subject that there is just one exam at the end. So again, some is practically assessed, some would be through assignments, and some would be through exams, you know, at the end of the year. So there's a big mix. We do have a lot of support here for students that, you know, might struggle academically. So there's a really good access officer here, and students can contact her before they come in. If they have a report coming in, they'll be able to access some tutor support as well after college, and we provide readers and scribes for those students as well. without reports. You can have a spelling and grammar waiver. So there's loads of, you know, options there. So if somebody thinks, oh, I'm really not academic, don't let that put you off. There's loads of help there, you know, and I think we all help out students as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And those with disabilities, you know, we've had lots of students with various different disabilities, and we've been able to manage to get them through the course, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's very important, the fact we have an access officer here who will be in touch with all those students before they start.
Yeah,
absolutely. Rosemary, a question there. Are grants available?
Yes, grants are available. You have to apply before September. They're means tested, and the grants are paid on participation. So if you're not in, you don't win. So you actually have to come into college to be able to be paid your grant. Okay,
okay. There's another interesting question here. For somebody who wants to go down the stud management route, but would be keen to improve their riding, would you recommend doing the horsemanship and changing to stud management?
Most definitely.
Okay.
Most definitely.
Okay, yeah, no. Okay. Another question there, is food available on site?
Yeah, we have an external catering company called Q Cafe that would provide food on site. So there's 3 canteens here, and students can actually get their breakfast, lunch and dinner here if they want to. There's also basic cooking facilities on the accommodation, so some of them would cook themselves, or they might go down to the village to get food as well. So.
How does one apply for the student grants? That's a good question. Okay.
The best thing to do is to ring our administrator, Catherine Power, and her number is there available.
There will be email details of the student grant through the application procedure, and it's outsourced through a company called Southwestern Co-op, and you apply that way. But it'll all be very clear in the next month or two through the application procedure. If you apply this year but are not lucky to get in, what can you do to improve your chances for next year? It's a good question again.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and that has happened before. So what I would really suggest is, if you don't get in, like, don't be afraid to ask for feedback. So like, we would be more than happy to say, look, this is the areas that I think you could improve on. Generally for the equitation course, we would say, get as much time in the saddle as you can. So like, you can't be just, you know, spending time, you know, on the horses and just trying to learn that way. If you don't have a horse of your own, maybe you could, you know, be working in a local riding school, or try and get, you know, time and experience that way. But really, it is as much time as you can spent in the saddle with the majority of people. But absolutely ask for feedback. I mean, we'd be more than happy to say.
And fitness would be another thing that we would be, you know, keen to see, that young people are fit. It's a very difficult sport. It's a sport that you have to keep fit for. So obviously,
and you are riding every day, so it is. I mean, physically, you are, you know, you're going
and even
every
in
day.
your lunging and your driving and all of those things, you have to be able to be fit to walk 2, 3, 4 miles.
Yeah, just one question here. We're approaching the end now, but what is the deadline, and when will I know if I have a place? Deadline for application, I think that means.
The deadline for application is the application has already closed, but I'm sure if you keep going and apply again, we will take later ones. But all the videos have got to be back by the 1st of July, so that we know exactly who we've got.
Excellent, excellent. Listen, I'd just like to thank Rosemary and Kate for joining me here. There was excellent questions came in, so I'd like to thank you as the audience for joining us. Our recording will go up on YouTube probably later on tomorrow, so if anybody did miss it, you can direct them to that. Don't hesitate to contact any of us, you know, Rosemary or Kate here in Kildalton, and they will answer any questions that you didn't get to ask tonight. And look, we look forward to meeting many of you in September. So thanks very much, and good night.